Hi everyone, Andrea from And Beyond and andbeyondimprov.com here to share with you on LinkedIn today the number one difference that I see between the people who end up texting me the word magic in some capacity about the difference that they are feeling and seeing in their career story versus the people that I sit down with once and then I run into them a year later, 2 years later, and they're in the same exact situation. So the number one difference that is there between these two people is their willingness to stop telling the stuck story. There's a lot of reasons why it's easy to get stuck in the stuck story, to get a little bit obsessed with talking about how miserable you are, how unfair things are, and frankly, it feels good to connect with people on that level a lot of the time. But the thing is, if you want it to change, there's a few things that you can start doing right now in order to start getting yourself closer to the place that you want to be. And the very first thing is that you have to believe that it's possible for it to change. And not only that it's possible for it to change, but that it will change. The second thing is that once you believe that, or once you've at least acknowledged that there's a possibility that things don't have to stay the way they are, the way you talk about your situation has to change. So you haven't really achieved anything if it's dawned on you, you know what, maybe this is just a chapter. Maybe this isn't the whole story of my career. But then you keep on complaining to your friends, you keep on, filling your mind with evidence of, the economy is terrible, the job situation is terrible, my company is terrible, everyone has student debt, etc. You haven't really achieved anything if you stay stuck there. The third thing is that you have to then protect the new narrative. So what I mean by that is that now is when you have to really start implementing some structure around your thought life, around your journaling, around what you spend listening to, the kind of music, the kind of TV, how frequently you're reading news stories that feed your fear narrative. There's a time and a place to allow yourself to be aware of what's happening. Of course, we should be aware, we should be invested in what's happening in our communities and in our world. But the most important thing for you to understand is that you can't be a part of the good, you can't be a part of the change if you are bogged down feeling miserable and if you are just spreading negativity and poison to everyone around you. That does nothing to solve the problems that you care about. So part of the reason why changing the struggle story works so well, outside from kind of the magical spiritual component that I love so much, but I know those aren't the words that relate with everyone, but there's a very practical reason. I mean, the more that you are talking about how bad things are, the more people are going to pile onto that. But if you start channeling the conversation towards, I'm getting more and more clarity on what I do want, and I'm feeling so motivated to try something different. The more you start telling a positive story about the direction you're on, first of all, you're inviting what I like to call a positive pile-on, okay? So people can then start saying things like, you know what, I just talked with someone the other day, let me connect you. That's helpful. That helps you start moving in a direction that you want to be in. But the other thing is that's how you start spreading light. So one of the fears that I know I had when I really started putting myself out there in my business and really started, changing the situation that I was in, one of the fears that I had is that people wouldn't relate with me, especially as an improviser and someone who, does comedy. I felt like, well, it's a lot easier to joke about having a zero balance and overdrafting and having a crappy car than it is to be like, I safely made it to the end of the month and, I paid off a student loan and that doesn't necessarily feel as relatable. That doesn't feel, as funny as the struggle story. And so I've had all this worry about, if I start putting myself out there and succeeding, no one will be my friend anymore, or something like that. So whatever that is for you, realize that that's how you can encourage other people or be this little voice that maybe they're not ready for yet that says, guys, it really can be better than it is right now. And, it's possible to be thriving and still be who we are. It's not going to change your whole personality or something like that. The last little thing here is that it's really easy to feel like the people who are the most pessimistic are living in the real world. And it's mainly because they say things like that. They say, well, you be optimistic, I'll be realistic, and they have this whole energy about them that says, I'm right, I'm the one that, as Maya Angelou says, is living in true profundity. I live in the real reality, and you're just naive. I've been called fake, I've been called naive, I've been called, a starry-eyed millennial so many times. And guess what? Those people weren't right. I was right. I was able to change my situation. I wasn't wrong about my own life, and you're not wrong about your own life either. Those people are not living in the real world and you're living in some fake world. those people are hurting. There is a reason why they feel like something that's not a good situation is as good as it gets. And that's not your fault, and it's not your job or your responsibility to fix it for them. It's their responsibility to do that work. And the best thing that you can do for yourself, and if you're feeling empathetic and you're feeling like, man, I just wish this person wasn't hurting so bad, shine your light. Keep moving on a path that serves you, and you will show them that it's possible. So that's what I just want to share with you guys today. I'm going to put a link in this post to my calendar. And here's the thing. If you are feeling stuck in your career, I would love to talk with you. I really would, because I've walked this journey myself of career transition, and now I've been helping lots of other people do that too, and I love it so much because things can be good. They can be good. That is the real truth. That's the big truth. So if you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you really want things to shift in your career, click on that link, schedule time on my calendar, and let's talk. Let's see if it's a good fit. No pressure whatsoever. But I would love to have a conversation with you. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Bye.